Welcome to the Rebellion Brewing Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Barton. Today I'm sitting down with Dee from the Cookie Lady Donut Division. She's the creative force behind some of the tastiest donuts you'll find in the Queen City. You might recognize her and her mom from the bright neon cookies found at the farmer's market that drive kids wild. It's known as the Cookie Lady cookies. Dee, welcome to the show.
Hey.
How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. And yourself?
I'm good.
Awesome.
So before we get talking about donuts, we've got something special today. We've got Duke of Earl by Malty National.
Sounds great.
Malty is a fantastic local brewery located here in Regina. They're always doing fun, wacky stuff, and we at Rebellion like to bring them on tap in our tap room all the time. We like to see what they're brewing, we like to taste what they're doing. They inspire us to work harder, and we have a really friendly rivalry with them. We're always trying to impress each other and one-up each other with the next new thing. So let's have a taste.
Okay. It's nice and mild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very creamy.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting that.
I don't find it to be too carbonated.
No.
The aroma is very mild.
Can I say I expected it to be a bit more floral?
Were you expecting more of the bergamot
Yeah, I
and the
was
orange?
expecting more of the bergamot. It's just nice and light, though.
I can taste the bergamot.
Can you taste it?
Yeah. Let it hang out on your tongue for a couple seconds.
Okay.
You feeling it?
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
I actually I find it to be quite herbaceous compared to most beers that I'm
Yeah,
drinking.
oh, for sure.
I think they did a really good job with this one. It's nice. I like the creamy character.
Yeah.
It's not too aggressive on the herbs. You?
I'm kind of enjoying it. It sounds terrible. I'm a bit surprised.
Are you a beer person?
I'm not typically a beer person. I like things that are sweeter or darker, like a stout. And I'm really enjoying this. It doesn't have a bitter aftertaste at all. I'm not a hops fan. And I absolutely love Earl Grey Tea. So this is like clearly the perfect beer for me.
I'm just going to assume you want to give it a thumbs up then.
It's 2 thumbs up, man.
I'm going to give it a thumbs up too. That's the fun thing about Malty National. They're unafraid to do something fun and wacky that you might not expect.
Yeah.
And you get something nice like this.
Good for them.
Tell me a little bit about the Cookie Lady Donut Division.
Okay, so anyone who's been in Regina for a little while will know the Cookie Lady, probably from farmers markets, craft shows. Maybe they grew up with dinosaur cookies because we've been around for like 24 years. And the Cookie Lady still loves making cookies, but sometimes you get bored and you just want to try something different and fun. So that's where it came from. The Cookie Lady happens to be my mom. And we have this thing where I'm a creative person, I come up with tons of ideas, but I don't actually know how to execute them. So then I go, Mom, I have this great idea, something we should make. You figure out how to make it. And that's the back and forth that we have. So that's kind of how it started. We just wanted to do something different.
I always bribe my kids. I'm like, if you behave at the farmer's market and you don't throw a fit, we'll take you to the Cookie Lady and we'll get you a cookie.
Yeah. So many times people are walking by, or like we see the parents who are trying to get their kids' attention to the opposite side of the street at the farmer's market, and then the kid, of course, last second turns around, Mom, Cookie Lady! And you just see the parents go, oh, shit.
Well, it's also really hard to say no to your mom. She's so nice and friendly.
She is.
It's like, sorry, Cookie Lady, I don't want to buy your cookies.
You can't say that. Nope. It's not possible.
She's so friendly. It's like you got walked into buying extra cookies.
All the time. All the time.
So what style of donuts are you doing? Are you doing a cake donut or like a fluffy cruller thing?
Okay, so we're doing raised donuts, as one way to refer to them, or a yeast donut. So it's like making bread. You have like the yeast in there, they rise. You have to let the dough rise, you have to let it proof, etc. Cookie knows the terms more than I do. So yeah, it starts out with a nice cold dough. We're rolling them out. We have different sizes. I like the mini donuts the best because they just get kind of crispy on the outside. And our dough is very light and fluffy. So you can have different styles. For example, there's another donut person in the city, the Everyday Kitchen. She does a sourdough donut, which by the way is amazing. But the mouthfeel is a little heavier, like a little bit, like you definitely tell that they're sourdough donuts. Has that extra flavor in behind.
A little more body.
Yeah, a little more body to it for sure. And ours are just different than that. It's just like a sweet bun dough, very light, almost like...
Does it kind of melt in your mouth?
They yeah, and maybe that's the right way to describe it. I like them best when they're fresh, like right out of the oil, because they kind of are still crispy on the outside and then pillowy on the inside. And then by the time a couple hours go by and you get them at the market or at a donut pop-up, they've kind of lost the crispness a bit, but they're still super fluffy and light.
You're making me really hungry.
You're welcome.
Like my mouth is like watering. I can feel the saliva.
They're pretty good, I'm just going to say.
So what kinds of donuts?
Okay.
Like you got this base awesome cake donut or fluffy
Raised
donut.
Yeah.
What are you putting on top of them?
Oh, it kind of depends on what we feel like. So I'm the crazy person that likes to do like weird combinations of flavors. We did for our pop-up at Takeaway Gourmet a cheese and strawberry donut, but not like cream cheese, like actual cheese, kind of the texture of a brie, and it was amazing. So I'm the one that wants to try something weird. My mom likes to stay more traditional. She makes this amazing chocolate fudge glaze. So not like a typical chocolate glaze that you would get at any donut shop. It's like, it's a fudgy texture and sweeter and so good. To be honest, like when she makes it, I just have a bowl and take a bite, dip the donut back in, take another bite. It's so good.
That's awesome. So do you guys do anything with beer?
Well, funny you should ask. We will be doing something with beer at Rebellion coming up here in the next couple weeks. A beer and donut tasting.
What does that mean? Like I'm shamelessly kind of pitching you to lead us into it, but I heard there was something with Doritos.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right on that. How did you find out? It's like top secret.
I might have taken a few photos.
Oh, right. Yeah, so it's going to be a beer and donut tasting. You're going to get a flight of Rebellion beers, 3 different ones, and then you're going to get 3 different donuts to go with those beers. And we thought it would be kind of cool to do like the appetizer, main course, and then a dessert donut.
So these are not your typical desserty, light and fluffy donuts. These are something different.
Still light and fluffy, but not typical flavors at all. So I really went with the beer theme and wanted to try some things that we never tried before and probably aren't going to try again. So,
but not because it's bad.
Not because it's bad, but just because we're really into the dessert, the sweet caramel chocolate stuff, and it's just fun to do something savory.
So we have a Dorito and cheese?
Yeah, so that one, I think we're kind of calling it like nachos and cheese donut. If you're sitting down at the pub and you're going to have an appetizer, like it's probably nachos, and that goes great with beer. So the Rebellion beer with that is the Amber. And it's going to be that classic light fluffy donut as the base, and then we're making like a beer and cheese sauce with a nice sharp cheddar. And then there has to be a garnish. So we're putting a ton of crushed Doritos on top. It's like awesome. Anti-gourmet.
So what is it? Is it kind of that combination of crunch and fluffiness?
Yeah, it's like the mixture of textures there, and you have to have that typical like nacho cheese flavor. Like, yeah, you want to make the cheese sauce out of like legit cheese, right? But in your head, you're still thinking nacho cheese. So that's why we have to have the Doritos. It's just not complete without it.
And when you taste it with the beer?
Well,
is it a complete flavor experience?
It gives it a complete flavor experience for sure. We actually used a beer in the sauce. I think we did the IPA in the sauce, and then it's paired with the amber to kind of bring those flavors out.
What did you guys pick for the second course?
Main course is going to be a Reuben served with the IPA. And that one's gonna be like sandwich style donut. So it's not dipped in any kind of glaze. So you're gonna cut it in half like classic sandwich, and it'll be stuffed with corned beef, sauerkraut, a nice greeny mustard. Like, oh.
Sauerkraut.
It's like, oh, it's gonna be like a manly donut sandwich. It's so good.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, and that's sauerkraut. Like the sauerkraut and the mustard to me with the IPA just kind of pops in your mouth.
This is a big flavor.
Yeah, it's great.
Kind of an aggressive, but
oh,
delicious.
for sure. Yeah, you got to be ready for it.
So what are we getting for dessert?
Dessert, it's classic. So we're gonna do a caramel dip, salted with pretzels on top. And this, if you're a Cookie Lady fan, you may recognize this caramel as like the famous turtle tart filling. Homemade caramel, more butter than you want to know about. Like, I can't even tell you how much. And we're dipping the donuts in that caramel.
Nice.
Like drowning it. And it's just, oh, it tastes so good together. We're going to have some sea salt on top, crushed pretzels. I think we wanted to stay with something sweet and salty because if you take away the salty component, then the sweetness and the beer just don't really blend as nicely together. Or maybe it's that they blend too much and you don't get like the contrast in flavors. The salt really brings out the flavors in the beer. And we don't, like, it's about donuts and beer. So we don't just want the donut to be great on its own. We want it to be great with the beer. And I think the salt is the tie-in for that.
Okay. Now correct me if I'm wrong. Adding salt with stuff like chocolate helps make it sweeter because it kind of like is a punctuation.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like playing a bass guitar and then it highlights the rest of the music that's going on.
Yes.
But if you take away the bass guitar, then there's something
It's just
missing.
lacking. Yeah, something's missing for sure. So this will be served with the stout. Rich, obviously, and delicious, and it just needs that salt for balance. And it's like you said, the salt is gonna bring out the flavors that are there and really make them great and strong. Whereas if you didn't have the salt, you'd taste the stout, you'd taste the caramel, and you'd be like, oh yeah, that's cool.
You're making me so hungry. I'm going to finish recording this podcast and I'm going to go make poor life choices.
That's all right, dude. We've all been there.
I'm starving. So, okay, you've got to have some great donut stories. You've been doing it for a little bit. What's your favorite one?
You know, I think I'm going to go the nostalgic route with this one. My favorite donut memory would be, being like 4 or 5 or 6 years old. Could be either one of those. Sitting around at grandma's table, like in the farmhouse, and she's got like the gallon Ziploc bag out of the freezer with like rows of donuts lined up in it. They're like a little bit overcooked because she's always doing 10 things at once. And, frying the donuts is just happening there along with cooking supper for 15 men in the field, right? So you just like pull out these donuts from the freezer, you let them warm up a little bit. They're still light and fluffy as hell because she was a great baker. She had such a talent with yeast doughs. She'd sit us there at the table with our bag of donuts, and each of us kids would have a little bowl of icing sugar. And that's what we would do. It was the thing. She didn't ice them. She didn't put weird toppings on them. It was just the traditional donut. You take a bite, you dip it in the icing sugar, you take another bite, and you keep going.
And then she sends you home.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Hopped up on candy, and then grandma sends you home. Yeah, that was the way that we did it. We didn't do anything fancy. That was like the down-home way of enjoying donuts. So when you see us at our pop-ups, we actually have a version of that. It's the miniature donuts in a little container, and there's this nice little jar of icing sugar so you can experience the way we experience donuts.
And that was grandma's way of saying I love you?
She had many ways of saying I love you, like with candy in her purse, and like for sure that's a strong memory though.
That's awesome. So where can people find your donuts if they're not coming to the tap room? Well, they should be.
Right, you should be coming to the tap room. I mean, like, it's not optional. You need to come and try it if you're a beer lover and a donut lover. If you're not a donut lover, you probably will be when you leave. But otherwise, donuts you can find some Saturdays at the Farmers Market, City Square Plaza, and occasionally at pop-ups at coffee shops throughout the city. Unfortunately, donuts are a lot of work amongst everything else that the Cookie Lady makes, so we can't have them, consistently every Wednesday and Saturday, at the moment anyway. So the best way to find out is to follow the Cookie Lady on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and that's where we post our next locations.
Killer. So you guys are looking to expand the Cookie Lady empire?
Yeah, a little bit, until we get bored. And then you gotta look for the next best thing. I don't know if we can get bored of donuts, though. I don't know if that's a thing.
This would be pretty hard.
It's pretty hard. There's so many different flavors that you can try out, right?
I'm going to ask you one last question. How many donuts have you seen a single person eat in one sitting?
Oh, wow, that award would go to my brother probably. I'd say like he could eat 10 to 15, like 10 to 15 donuts with the icing sugar.
Without getting sick?
Oh yeah, no, he's totally fine. If you're just pounding those back, that's life. It's like donuts for breakfast every day at Grandma's house.
Does he chew or does he just stuff the whole thing in there?
Arguable.
Dee, I want to thank you for your time today.
Thanks so much, Matt.
Hey Rebels, thanks for tuning in this week. I'm going to post links to the Cookie Lady in the show notes. Be sure to check them out. If you want to find the latest about Rebellion Brewing, be sure to look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and Untapped. Thanks for joining the Rebellion.